Greetings. I have a huge question that I want to ask you for this episode of Crap, Now What? Have you ever, or when was the last time that you asked yourself and said, is this too good to be true? When was the last time you had an experience like that? Did you follow up when you saw something that looked like it was too good to be true? Did you go and dive down that rabbit hole? This is going to be the topic today for Crap, Now What? Because there are times in our lives when we are faced with a situation or something has come up that appears to be too good to be true. And sometimes it can be something that is going to be life-changing for you if you decide to follow up. If you choose not to, or has there ever been a time you chose not to, and now you're saying to yourself, crap, now what? I missed this opportunity. Crap, now what? I wish and plan to next time if I'm presented with this opportunity that I want to do X, Y, Z. If this is the first time that you found Crap Now What as a podcast, we do attempt to drop new episodes every Monday. I did miss a few weeks recently. If you look like, and you are one of my regular clients, if you're someone who's been following this podcast, or if you happen to be looking at me as I'm sitting in this chair, I did not suddenly just add 70 pounds to my body. 5 weeks ago today was in an unfortunate car accident and hurt my back. So I am wearing a back brace, and I keep wanting to share that with people because that itself is a crap now what moment. And everything that we weave in the spirit of this podcast is to remind you and to prepare you for these times in life when there's nothing else that you can do except accept it, move forward, be prepared, and move forward. And that's what I intend to share with you, are opportunities to discuss life moments and moments that tend to be emotional, thoughtful, as well as tied into your money. Almost everything in life is actually interwoven, and that's the spirit of this podcast. I want you to have the opportunity to be as informed as possible and not be one of those people that's left in an uninformed category. So I'm always looking for new topics, and I'm pulling from experiences that I've personally had, as well as experiences with clients and loved ones and family members and friends that I know that have had crap now what moments. This is not intended to be advice. This is intended to be a format where you have the opportunity to hear these slices of life, hopefully reflect on them, and have the opportunity to know that there is a place where you can go where somebody will listen and possibly assist you if that's something that you're looking for. Because I'm always looking for new crap now what moments so that we can all learn and have this opportunity. And today I'm going to actually share with you a scenario that came up this week. And I'm also going to share with you some numbers of how some situations that seem to be too good to be true. I'll back up. How situation can seem to be too good to be true, but it's actually a very good opportunity. Again, like I said, this is not intended to be advice. This is not intended to be something that you can exactly do and duplicate yourself. It's going to be very personal to the clients that I'm working with, but there is relevant information that I think that you would find interesting enough to have this discussion yourself. So let's dive in a little bit instead of just talking about this, let's get into some of the meat that's on the bones. I'm going to share with you a scenario. I've been working with a lady that is in a different part of the country. I meet most of my clients over Zoom. I do business over all the country, including New York, California, Florida. I'm based in the Midwest. If you can't tell from my Midwest look and my Midwest accent, some people say we have an accent, but we never have figured out what that accent is. But I'm here in the Midwest. My main office is in Omaha, and I am what you would call an untaxable retirement strategist. I do not follow the traditional financial advisor path, and I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney either. And I also am not a traditional life insurance agent. I have specialties that I've woven together. I'm part of an elite group here in the country that helps people to look at their retirement dollars, typically in a 401k, 403b, 457, a personal self-directed IRA. These dollars tend to be what they call qualified dollars. Dollars are money that has been saved for the future, for retirement, but have not had the taxes paid yet. These are dollars that we believed way back when it was smart to take the tax deduction as we were funding these pockets of money, these retirement dollars, as we were building our retirement savings. Most of it is tax deferred. Now we're running into, and I say we, because I'm 58 years old, I'm on that short runway towards retirement, although I do expect that I will be working and enjoying what I do because I love sharing these strategies to help people to enjoy more of their tax dollars. I am super passionate about this, but it's a very small niche and not a lot of people are familiar. And not only that, most of the time when people see what I can do, what my team can do, untax your qualified dollars, your 401k, your IRA, whatever format that it's currently sitting in, your tax deferred dollars, to minimize your taxes as much as 25%, even up to 75%. I can help people get to the point that they're paying 10% on their federal taxes. These are legitimate strategies that I'm going to share with you, and I want you to reach out to at least learn about them. Most people, and I'm going to show you why, most people look at what can be done and say, it's too good to be true, I'm afraid. But if you follow the path, it's not the easiest path, because the best strategies, step back for a moment. The best strategies, can you imagine when you really look at it? I talk to people every day who say, I want to understand why people that are wealthy are immune from paying taxes. How does XYZ, how does a Bezos, how does Gates, how does Musk, how do politicians who have to show their tax returns? You know where we're headed. We've got an election coming up. Politicians have to show their tax returns, and then all of a sudden it's like, how are you getting away with this? I'm paying this much. How are you getting away with this? The strategies that I have in my portfolio, the strategies that I can put together, customize, tailor for you, are the same type of strategies. And when we go on that journey, whether you have $200,000 in your savings for retirement, whether you have $1 million, whether you have 400,000, at the minimum, I can help, my team can help you to at least get to the point where you are at least going to be able to move those dollars into something bigger than what you would do if you stayed the course that you're currently on. I know this is complicated, and I know that this is part of the reason why people say, well, crap, This seems too good to be true. I don't know what to do. So it's a combination of these things that we're going to talk about today and why it's very important. So I'm working with, and I'm going to get back to this again, I'm working with a female that is single, has saved a lot of money to her. She's got at least $200,000. She's got some property that she's going to be selling, but she's 70 years old. And she knows in her heart of hearts, and she knows from the independent research that she's done, that there are strategies out there. So this is how we got together. She wanted to hear more about how she could be immune. The word she used was immune from taxes. So in this scenario, and I'm going to do this more and more often so that you have the opportunity to potentially relate with this person, whether it's you personally or it's a loved one or a family member or a friend, that you are able to identify with, that this becomes intriguing to you and you want to learn more, because you should at least give yourself the opportunity to learn more. I have this client. This client has gone, and we've met 4 times, because like I said, the best strategies aren't just something that you just pick off the tree and implement for yourself. The people that I just mentioned, Bezos, Musk, Gates, politicians, they have a team of people, sometimes people like me, that actually help pull these strategies together to reduce their taxes, to almost take them down to, like I said, as low as 10%. They're not doing it themselves. They just know that they have a trusted resource to get these things done. And these are not brand new ideas. These are ideas, strategies that are available to you. So this lady is very excited. She thought she was going to stay at a step 1, just protect her dollars, make them grow, and have a little bit more for retirement. We got into it deeper, showing her some of the additional possibilities and the potential for her 3 children who are adults to also have a legacy, something that can come out of this that becomes part of generational wealth, and how they can be a part of the overall plan. And possibly it gets put into a trust so that it's even easier from the tax side. So she was excited. This is total normal human behavior. Excited. Said to the children, I have done my research. I have gone through this. I have done endless research. And I'm now to the point, I believe that you should at least be a part of this. You should hear about it. This is something that I want to do for my family. This is not unusual for the adult children to say, oh man, Mom, I think that sounds too good to be true. It involves this, it involves banks, it involves insurance, it involves some other finances, all these things being woven together. I hear these things on the news. How do you know that you can trust? How do you know that it's not going to blow up? How do you know that the policy and all of the accounts, even though the accounts would be big names that are involved as financial advisors, as carriers and companies that have been in business for over 150 years, all the way back to the Civil War. I'm not going to name names on the companies because there's so many different resources that specialize in these areas. This excited person started to have family members trying to blow holes into something that they didn't even bother to learn about. So, of course, we're going to be working on that. That's not the point. This is a real life scenario that just because it's not so easy, but you can, this lady can, that I'm talking about, my client can and is going to be taking advantage of what is available. So I'm going to go back to how I first started this podcast and where this phrase of having you be as informed as possible, like I've done with this client, we helped her find that slice that she knew was out there that she could tailor for herself. Even though she's not a multimillionaire, she is able to grow her dollars. So we're going to go back to the judge, learned hand that I've shared with you before that talks about taxes and what you can have in your arsenal and why there's a huge difference between being informed versus uninformed, and why I'm coming back to the basics. I want you to focus on this. I know it's a little bit lengthy, but let's focus on this because this goes back to before I was born. This gentleman, a former federal district court judge, he says, in America, there are two tax systems, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Both are legal. I think this is extremely relevant too, because we're coming up on elections now. Very close. By the time you've caught this podcast, if you've caught it, it's the day before the elections. And all we hear from one certain party is they're going to raise taxes for the middle class and give tax cuts to the rich. Let's come back to this again and rethink this. It's not about tax cuts that help the wealthy make more money. It's about the opportunities to meet people when you're at that level. When you are a Bezos, when you are a Musk, Gates, I've said these names over and over again. Politician, anybody that's already at high net worth is meeting people in the world to show them strategies to reduce their taxes. It's not about tax cuts coming from the government. It's about their ability to learn and have access. And that is what I can bring to you as the access, even if you're in the middle class, the opportunity, lower middle class, upper middle class, to at least utilize these strategies so that you have more of your tax, I'm getting passionate here and twisting my words, so that you have more of an opportunity to enjoy the retirement dollars that you squirreled away rather than giving it to the government. That's all this is about. It's not about big tax cuts for the rich. It's what the rich do and how they do it. And they do it in a legal way. And they are informed versus uninformed. Let's go on just a little bit more to some more detail. And here's another picture of my gentleman here, my friend. Learned hand, like it says, U.S. federal judge, learned hand, 1872 through 1961. We are talking again about strategies that have been around forever, but they have not been known to what I would say the middle class. Let's go on. Anyone may arrange his affairs, arrange their money, so that his or hers, of course, taxes shall be as low as possible. That's what the rich are doing. It's not about tax cuts that the government is giving them, that the IRS is giving them. He is not bound to choose that pattern which best pays the Treasury. We're not obligated to do that. There is not even a patriotic duty to increase one's taxes. That's an interesting statement that he closes this idea with, is that it's not our duty to pay more than our share. And it's not, and there isn't anything wrong with using strategies to lower your tax bracket, lower the amount that you're going to pay and give to the government. Over and over again, the courts have said that there is nothing sinister in so arranging affairs as to keep taxes as low as possible. Everybody does it, rich and poor alike. Now, I would differ with this and argue this point a little bit. Those in the middle class and those who don't have a lot of money would love to do it and may not, but if they did, they would. So everybody does it, rich and poor alike, and all do right. For nobody owes any public duty to pay more than the law demands. more than your tax bracket requires. So I felt bad for this client. I'm going to come back around, who had excitement and enthusiasm after doing their research, that they felt that all of a sudden something that is so good that their family is turning around and saying, well, that's too good to be true. It can't possibly be the case. And I felt especially bad for this client. And we, of course, were getting this situation where the children are going to be involved and be able to see everything. Full disclosure, there is nothing hidden in any of this. Kind of like the spirit of what Learned Hand said. There's nothing that is done that's illegal. It's just not familiar. So let's talk about this a little bit more. I'm going to share with you 4 different scenarios. Now, I realize not everybody has $1 million at age 61 or 62 squirreled away, but the numbers work with parity. If a person has 500,000 available, then what happens is that the numbers kind of go in half. If a person's got 250, which the client that I'm working with, we're able to do a lot with her 200,000, even though she's 70 years old. So what I'm going to share with you is a real case study of a client that I'm working with that has $1 million within their household between him and his wife, that they have put away this much money in IRAs, 401ks, etc. And now, because they're age 62, both of them are similar in age, that they are at that stage where they want to start looking at what retirement might look like. But they do not want to give so many dollars of their hard savings that they've tax deferred back to the government. Everything that they learned years ago when they got started, we were told we were going to be on a lower tax bracket when we get to the retirement age. That's not necessarily been the case. The taxes that are coming out are taxed at ordinary income, and people are not wanting to, and it takes such a big chunk of their earnings that it makes it look like they're going to run out of money. In many cases, we're talking about people who are going to run out of money. 401ks in particular were already designed just to be a supplement to pension, but most people do not earn a pension. That's not the design of today's workplace or today's jobs. So let's look at this. We're not going to beat this whole thing up. This is the type of strategy system and the way we start to look at what the possibilities are and start to at least draft up what it could look like. In this case, if you look to the far left, we're talking about what the current plan would be. If my client decided just to do things the way they have it, stay the course, no changes. Their financial advisor says, okay, you've got $1 million. We're going to put it in mutual funds, etc. And we're going to let those IRAs or 401ks stay where they're at, start taking our withdrawals over time. And this is what your projections are. And in this case, that $1 million between ages 62 to 90 grows to a little over 2 million. 2 million that this couple can utilize. Each one of those years that I have the projections, you can see at least 5 figures, couple years, maybe 6 figures at a rate of withdrawal of 7% is what this is based on. So it's a pretty healthy amount coming out of the retirement accounts. And then there is a potential estate that you can see also in the salmon color of 1.9 million. I'm not going to go into but 1.9 million. And these are possibilities that are in my portfolio of opportunities for you to be and have the opportunity to do what the wealthy do. One of the options is to go to the light blue And in the light blue, what we're looking at is that we've protected those dollars from market volatility. Financial advisors typically will have the idea that what goes down will come back up. But more and more people that I talk to who are really in that space, 58 years old like myself, 61, 62 years old like this client and his wife, the idea of the funds going down and how much longer it would take for it to get back to where it was can be years. And nobody wants to be doing like a double dip, taking 7% out on a year where there's a market downturn. So what most financial advisors and what history has shown, and again, we can't always take history and extrapolate it and paste it onto the future, but usually 3 out of 10 years are down or level years. They're not usually high growth. And for most of you who are familiar with the S&P 500, which tracks the largest companies in the country, as well as a portion in the world, that these largest companies dictate whether they have, if they have a really good year or if they have a low year, that affects the market. And I do apologize for the husky voice as we get into this podcast a little bit deeper. This is kind of a side effect of recovering from my injury. Regardless, okay, so what we're looking at, we're just going to cut to the chase here, is that the light blue would be if we take the market volatility out of the retirement accounts and we shift it over to something where it's protected, still tracking with the S&P. However, it's protected from the negative side of the market effects. So look at how much it changes it. Just by one move, a very calculated move, it reduces the market volatility, gives us a lot more confidence, and it raises the amount of the account, that $1 million, and it, as you can see, line item after line item, year after year, more funds are available. And over that same period of time, as we measured in the salmon, we've now gone from 2 million that we were able, or this client will be able to enjoy in retirement, to 3.6 million. And that's based on a 12% withdrawal rate. So that's another nuance to check out, not 7%. And there is still a portion that goes to the estate being the beneficiaries. If we go into, and I need to come to you another time with more details on how we get to the green. The green does involve, and it does say on here, URIP. URIP stands for Untaxable Retirement Income Plan. If we go to the next level and we diversify the portfolio a little bit and we amp it up, we're amping it up a lot. This same thing is happening for my client with the 200,000. Reason why she's gotten excited about where she could potentially go, because she thought she'd be a blue. But once we started talking about the precise places we can go, she's going to the green for sure. And so her figures, of course, would be about 1/5 of what this million with her 200,000. And she has a slightly shorter runway at 70, but she's still very excited. She's very healthy, and she has a history of longevity in her family. So in this case, this couple here now has amped up at a 10% withdrawal rate, going from 2 million, 3.6 million, all the way up to $11 million. Now, yes, it is a little bottom heavy. There's more available on the back end. It doesn't immediately grow. And it's also a portion of compound interest. This is part of the reason why people who think about doing this should do it sooner than later, because of the power of compound interest. But as you can see, that 2 has now gone 5 times bigger than what it would have been if they stayed the course. So clearly, this client is moving towards this plan, and that is in progress. There's also an $11 million that comes to the family, the estate. I'm going to come back to the other power of that green column. One of the main differences, not only the growth, is that by the time we get to the green column, all taxes have been paid, and this is tax-free. Back to my untaxable retirement strategist or specialist role that I play in my company and with my team. When we get to the green, these are untaxed dollars. So you're not actually comparing apples to apples to apples. You've got apples, orange for the green. It's a different comparison and a much better outcome. Where my client that I was telling you about, who had her kids kind of get their undies in a bundle because they weren't really focused on understanding what she wants to do for herself and her family, is go to the lavender. And this is what this couple's doing. So they're 62 years old. The client I'm telling you about that I'm weaving into this conversation is 70, but she wants to create a legacy. She's single. She's saved up. She's got a lot that she wants to do. So she wants to do the same thing that this couple's doing. In this case, I'm showing you the couples that if they start to build a plan for legacy, what we're seeing is that some of the numbers are a little bit different in the earlier years as everything starts to grow, but the growth goes to 16 million. So this person, this couple that's going to do this will still be enjoying the dollars as they come out while they're alive, to the level of, if they make it to 90, which a lot of people are these days. My own parents are almost 84, 16 million. So now the 2 has gone from 2 to 3.6 to 11.3, now to 16.3. And as if you're looking at this, and I know the print is a little bit small, the potential estate is at about 12 million. And there are some other things that create this legacy because the kids are involved. The plan continues to grow over time. So there's more nuances and more details. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to zoom in on this, but one of the things that's incredibly important, it's a big item. Yes, this is why people look at this and say, oh my gosh, this looks too good to be true. This is one of those too good to be trues that you deserve to become familiar with. Talk to someone like myself who is in this area. Not everybody, your traditional financial advisors, very few are doing this type of strategy. Very few have the resources that mimic what the rich do and can bring this to you, as no matter where you're at on that spectrum of retirement dollars saved. If we can zoom in on this, and if not, to the right of the lavender, towards the bottom, in the salmon, comparing the salmon color to the green, what we're showing there is that if we stayed the course with that salmon all the way over to the left, if my clients decided, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to pass up on the opportunity to do something amazing for myself and for my family, the number and the figure there is the taxes that would be paid if they stayed the course. If they go to the green level without getting into the legacy portion, those are the taxes that are paid over time. The strategy reduces the taxes from the salmon figure down to the green figure by simply making some very calculated moves, by working with a specialist like myself in the industry. So we like to say, my team likes to say, and part of the reason why we encourage people, yes, you're going to have the same reaction. We wait for it every day of the week. Every time, and most times we're using Zoom to show these projections. We go behind the scenes and openly show you where these come from. Our worksheets are capable of saying, okay, what if we back down from this $1 million figure to 800,000? What if we decided to go to 1.5 million? I've actually got more assets. I think I would rather not play it safe. I'd like to go a little bit bigger. We can ebb and flow and do live updates in the room together so that a person can see what these projections and how much your life can be changed by digging in and learning and leaning into something that looks so incredible that it has to be too good to be true, but it's not too good to be true. It's simply ripping those strategies, pulling them together, and showing you and allowing you and leading and shepherding and tailoring a program for you that allows you to take advantage of, like I said, Learn Enhance said, what is available to you to reduce your taxes, especially reduce your taxes in retirement. What would you do? What would you do if this was you? If you had squirreled away $1 million for years, and I've met people who stayed in their same job for 30, 40, 50 years almost, 40 years for sure, who have squirreled away nearly $1 million. What if you could grow that $1 million to 11 million and enjoy those dollars? What would you do? What's the new thing that you would add to your dream of retirement? What would you do if you could actually really build a legacy? What if your legacy was to tell your children that you've now grown the dollar so far that you've helped to subsidize and you want to make sure that your grandchildren go to college and that you're able to do that for them? What if it's a different gift that you could give to your church? What if you like going on mission trips? I'm working with a client that has actually been to Ghana. He's helping to fund a school in Ghana, helping to change the water supply in Kenya. What would you do if you had the opportunity to grow your retirement, enjoy it at a level where you're comfortable? Yes, it does look too good to be true, but it is possible. So what I want you to do is think about it, but react instead of overthink. React emotionally. Get emotional, get excited, get to the point that you would like me and my team to help you to see what you could possibly do. Even if you're in your early 50s, even if it's still a little bit early for retirement, you can be making moves that will position you to type of path. I am so passionate about what can be done and how many people, if you have property and you're selling property and you're going to have an amazing amount of capital gains and they're going to get smacked in taxes, there are other strategies than just what I showed you that can help get those taxes down to 10%. What if they go from 40% to 10%? What would you do with that extra money? What would you do? So I want you to ask yourself what you would do. Dream about it. Push the button. Share these ideas. Share it with someone that you love. But for you, now, please reach out. Send me a message. Put something on this in the comments. Ask for more. Treat yourself to the opportunity to learn. I'm going to remind you that the reason I want you to be informed is because that day is coming. The day is coming that if you've socked away your money in tax-deferred retirement accounts, the tax collector's coming. And I'm going to go back to a visual. I want you to have this visual of what will happen to your retirement dollars as you start to take them out and how it's going to be taxed at ordinary income. What if you let it sit there and by 73, you still haven't taken anything out, but because of the Secure Act, the government is going to say, nope, time for those taxes. The Sheriff of Nottingham, that visual is exactly what the government does. The IRS, eventually they're going to get their share of those tax-deferred retirement accounts. And that is going to be inevitable. Treat yourself to finding out what's too good to be true so that you can avoid the Sheriff of Nottingham. And I'm going to have Caleb put that slide up here. Yes. Do you remember from that movie when the sheriff of Nottingham is going door to door and he shakes that coin out of the cast on the leg just to get that last little bit. That was a perfect hiding spot, and he still lifted that leg up and shook that coin out. The IRS, the government, will do that. They're going to get their taxes. Why not find out what you can do to give the least amount to the government? Pick up the phone, press a button, drop me a note. I'm going to keep bringing you scenarios until I hear from you so that we can help you to have your own customized plan, and you can have a retirement that's more comfortable than if you stayed where you're at least that. I don't want to overpromise, but people do have their lives changed. Look at how this one in this scenario goes. And it is not really too good to be true. It's really true and really possible. If you like these ideas, and I know I've said it several times, if you're listening to the full podcast, I've said it several times, reach out. I have a team of experts. I have in my arsenal so many very unique strategies, the type of strategies that the rich do use, that you could use depending on the certain situation. But I can at least show you that we can help you to at least improve your position no matter where you're at. And we are passionate. I'm very passionate about helping as much as I possibly can. If you're younger and you would like to find out how you can set yourself up without having to backtrack and set yourself up already for a tax advantage or as untaxed of retirement as possible, reach out as well. We help people of all ages. I have even helped my parents in their 80s improve their position and earn a little bit more and take out some of that market volatility. So that it's not too late and it's not too early. If you like these ideas, please subscribe, follow, reach out, share with others. I can't be here today completely on my own. I'm going through, as you can see, like I said, I have this medical thing, but I'm going to keep sharing it because this is the spirit of how important it is to share with you these concepts and how passionate I am. But it's also hopefully some inspiration just keep going, and keep looking, keep wanting to learn. And I will do my best to keep bringing you new and fresh ideas that you can grab hold of. Thank you to Caleb, who's helping get these pictures floated into this podcast, who's also been amazing editing and has been with me for, gosh, I'd almost have to go back and look at it, but we probably have an anniversary coming up. He's been amazing, and I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you, and I'll be back again next week. Thank you. Okay. So if you're still listening to this podcast at this stage, this is the boring stuff. This is the disclaimer. And I'm doing this because, yes, I do care about who you are and what you do with your money. And I'm going to be here to help give you some ideas. However, these are just ideas. They're theories. Sometimes these are ideas that are coming into my head based on what's going on in the world at this time. And they're not necessarily specific financial advice. I do encourage you, if you decide to do anything with your money, make any changes, seek the advice of a professional. You're welcome to follow up with me or with someone else, and make sure that what you're doing is something that fits with you, your lifestyle, your finances, and it's a strategy that's specific to you. Again, these are ideas and concepts. Do not necessarily take these as specific financial advice and follow it directly without having a full education.